It's time for the Lowell Green Show, originating live on blasttheradio.com. Ask your smart speaker to play Blast the Radio. Live video available on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. The number to call or text is 613-413-2217. And now, telling it like it is, here's Lowell Green.
Appropriate song. I can't take it anymore.
Even after a couple of days, off, you can't take it. Oh, we're in trouble
and it's
now.
Not Delilah that I can't take anymore either. It's COVID, our old friend COVID.
Oh yeah,
can't take it anymore. Holy mackerel! Anything, folks? Anything you want to discuss? I always like an idea comes from somebody else. All right. Hopefully, some of you out there have the odd idea. I'd love to hear it. If you something you think should be discussed, please feel free. Text it, email it, phone it, mail it, whatever it is. You can drive down here and leave it in my mailbox. if you can find my mailbox, that is. I must tell you that my sources tell me that it doesn't look good for our relaxation of restrictions. We're talking about COVID here. Lockdowns are obviously having an effect. Numbers are coming down gradually, thank goodness. Everybody out there who says lockdowns don't work, etc., I hate it. And I would think that there's got to be a better, but the fact of the matter is that it does work. The lockdowns, the added restrictions, because the numbers are beginning to fall. Prior to the lockdown, the new restrictions, I mean, numbers were soaring. They were out of sight. In fact, it has improved so much, I'm glad to see, that no longer do they ship patients from Toronto into Ottawa. I'm not sure if they're shipping patients from Toronto into other areas, but in the past couple of weeks, we had about 50 patients from Toronto in various Ottawa hospitals. That has stopped, thank goodness. So just one more indication that as much as you hate it, the restrictions work. And I must tell you that the only reason that we have to have these restrictions is because some people, small minority, but enough, just don't do what they are supposed to. It requires strict regulation to get some of these dumbheads, these idiots, these stupidos out there, the brain deados, to behave, to do what they're supposed to. If I've said this 1,000 times, nay, 10,000 times. If everybody did what they are supposed to, we wouldn't have a lockdown at all. Don't blame Doug Ford and all, or you don't even have to blame Trudeau. But if everybody did what they are supposed to, wear the mask, keep your distance, don't go hugging and meeting in large groups, if we know what we'd be out of lockdown. The virus needs to move from person to person. In order to do that, it's got to be close to another person. So that's why we have to have it. I just want to repeat that once again. But, you know, I'm not absolving the Prime Minister of all of the responsibility by any stretch. Still refuse. I can't believe this. I cannot believe this. This guy, like, you wonder, has he had a brain transplant? And if so, where the hell did he get it? I mean, you would think with all of the information we have now about all of the various mutations and so forth of virus that have come into this country. I mean, I gave you facts and figures last time I was on the air. That over 5,000, in a 2-month period, over 5,000 people came into one of Canada's 4 international airports with COVID. Over 5,000 in 2 months in 4 airports. And now we know this figure comes from Health Canada. Despite that, aside from supposedly stopping the flights coming in from India, finally, because people were ready to shoot the guy if he didn't, I mean, there's still flights arriving every single day with COVID-infected people. And here's one of the things that drives me crazy. Think of this. Stephen Del Duca. I don't know if you've heard of this guy or not. Bald-headed wonder. He heads what's left of the Ontario Liberal Party. Guess what? This guy calls Doug Ford, quote, a racist and xenophobic. Why? Because Ford has asked Trudeau to close the borders or at least increase restrictions. So Del Duca, head of the Ontario Liberal Party, says if you're asking for the borders to be closed or restrictions to be heightened, you are a racist. Now, what does this make Justin Trudeau then? Folks, here we have one Liberal accusing another Liberal of being a racist and xenophobic. Now, Del Duca hasn't come out and exactly said that, but if Doug Ford, according to Del Duca, is a racist and xenophobic because he has asked that the borders be tightened, then what is Trudeau, who actually has stopped flights coming in, if you notice, from India? Very clearly, Stephen Del Duca, head of the Ontario Liberal Party, or what's left of it, thinks that our Prime Minister, a fellow Liberal, is a racist and xenophobic. It's the only conclusion you can come to. I love it. I love it. I love it. We got one leading Liberal bashing another leading Liberal. It's now, I mean, if anybody were to say, well, Del Duca, no, I'm not calling the Prime Minister a racist. Well, wait a minute. I repeat, if Doug Ford's a racist, according to you, because he asks that the border be tightened, what is Trudeau, who actually stopped flights coming from India? It's beautiful. I just love it when Liberals get after Liberals, okay? It's quite astonishing. Imagine the intelligence. In light of, as I say, in light of everything that we know about all of the mutation, now almost 90% of all of the new COVID cases now in Ontario are mutations of one kind or another. And what's really scary, there are now some signs that the what they call a double mutation, which is ravaging India, is now in Canada. How did it get here? I've asked this question before, and I'll ask it again. Now, let me see. There's a mutation in Canada now that is ravaging India. How would it get here? Well, let me see. Did it swim, do you think, across the ocean? There are some migratory birds. Puffins, for example. I don't think puffins are coming from India, but there might be some migratory birds coming from India to Newfoundland or something. I don't know. Would it come by birds, do you think? Is that how it would arrive? You think that it would probably cropped up in one of those nickel mines up in Sudbury. I don't think that's likely. Could it be that this double India mutation came from India? And if it did so, it came somebody coming from India in an airplane arriving at our airports? Could that be the way? I don't know if anybody has another idea how this might happen. I sure as heck would like to hear from you. John, do you have a tin hat?
A tin hat? No,
Yeah.
I've got a lot of hats. I don't have a tin hat. Hang on. Actually, it's funny. I got a sailor's hat.
No, I'm looking for a tin hat.
Okay, I got a devil's horned hat.
Wait a minute, hold it. What you have? What, a devil's hat?
Devil's horns, yeah.
Okay.
I got
it's not tin though, right?
No, I got an elf hat. It's got some little tin bells on it.
Oh, that suits you. That suits you. That one.
I got a red sparkly hat.
Let me try that one. See, how does that look?
That's close to tin.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful.
It's reflective. I got a cowboy hat.
Cowboy hat?
Fresh out of tin hats in here, Lowell.
No tin hats.
No, sir.
So the reason that I ask if you have a tin hat, I don't know if you heard our good friend, the esteemed Justin Trudeau, describe anybody who questions Bill C-10 as being in the tin hat crowd.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got to get me a tin hat then.
So the Conservatives are pounding away on Bill C-10.
Good.
Which, as you know, in its original form, or semi-original, whatever, would essentially put the clampers on anything. Anything that you write, say, appear, sing, whatever, even the picture of your cat, the Liberals would have the power to stop it, to censor it, et cetera, et cetera. That's Bill C-10. So a few people, including, by the way, a lot of Liberals, almost every columnist in the country, even including some of the ones from the Toronto Star, believe it or not, have been highly critical, pointing out that we really don't want the Liberal Party censoring what people say on Facebook. So some of the Conservative members have been standing in the House and blasting away at Trudeau. So Trudeau gets up and says, in effect, anybody who questions Bill C-10 is with the tin hat crowd. So I just thought I'd see if you have a tin hat. I'm sure that, actually, you know what? If you have a little tin foil, you can make yourself a tin hat. By the way, it would appear that thanks to all of the opposition, that some changes are going to be made in Bill C-10. I'm not sure quite. The committee is still discussing it, so we're not quite sure. But as Brian Lilly, once again, Brian Lilly is doing a hell of a job on this in Sun Media. He's about the only one. He's pointing out that even if they take out that clause that says that users like you and I, that we can be censored, that as Brian points out, and he's absolutely right. I've read the bill or part of it. Almost everything else, videos, et cetera, could be censored, stopped. There's no question. One of the things that I believe that Trudeau is after, he doesn't want any opposition. It was Trudeau and his Liberals who essentially got Lowell Green and Rob Snow kicked off CFRA. I mean, I have growing evidence that that's what happened. He was sick and tired of all the criticism coming from us. And so 2 weeks after he's reelected, Snow and Green are gone. So that's just an example of the kind of thing that the Liberals do, right? They're a greasy bunch, at least the ones running the country anyway. But so one of the things that I think they're really after now is the Rebel network. I didn't know this, but Rebel apparently has over 1 million subscribers, and thus is a pretty powerful force, and of course is highly critical of the Prime Minister. So Brian Lilly suggests, and I think he's right, that if Bill C-10 passes, even in an amended form, that Rebel media is gone. And as a matter of fact, I would be gone as well. This program would be gone because there's no way that the Liberals, if they have the power, are going to allow Lowell Green to go on and call the Prime Minister a greasy weasel. There's just no way that that's going to happen. So I just thought I would let you know. We have a caller. Jace is on the line. Yes, Jace, what's on your mind here, sir?
Good afternoon, Lowell. I'd like to know one thing. Where the hell is Aaron O'Toole?
Oh, he's very vocal on this. Why do you ask? He's been very vocal.
I guess. Okay, I haven't seen anything. I keep seeing Pierre Poilievre. I keep seeing Michelle Rempel-Garner, but I haven't seen Aaron O'Toole on this.
Oh no, he's been very vocal on this. He is really going. In fact, I just saw him a major presentation on Facebook. He is highly critical of Bill C-10, et cetera, and has been described as from the tin hat crowd. So, he's there. But there's no question that Rempel is doing a great job as well, because that's her ministry, all right?
Now, maybe we could raise some funds to help Rebel Media. I mean, maybe we could get some tin hats made for everybody. I'd wear one.
I just want to point out what Bill C-10 would do would put the CRTC in charge of what we say, do, etc. on all internet platforms, including this program, Rebel, and including you if you post on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. Right. Some people think that the CRTC is kind of a benign organization. Let me just say, I worked for more than 30 years under the thumb of the CRTC. Every single day I went on the air doing controversial shows on CFRA. The CRTC is listening, and I know that I can't say this, I can't say that. It is so bad. This is the honest to God's truth. You may remember, at one point, the CRTC told me that if I am going to use satire or irony on the air, that I must warn people that this is satire. That's the kind of restrictions under which I operate. Now, there are more than one occasion when I never was kicked off the air until the Liberals got after me. But I'm going to tell you, it's a sword of Damocles that hangs over your head. If you think that you can operate a free and open free speech organization or platform with the CRTC, you are mistaken, folks. I just want to alert you. I've had 30 years experience. I know what it means. It's the sword of Damocles hanging over your head. Thank you, Jace. Thank you, sir, for your. It's a good call. Aaron O'Toole constantly being criticized, and I'd like to see him more often as well. One of the things, of course, with O'Toole, he has such powerful people with him, including Pierre Poilievre, including Bergen Harder. I think it was Harder actually that was questioning him on Trudeau on Bill C-10, and was described as having the tin hat. But I mean, what's going on, folks? It just makes you wonder, can this really be happening in Canada, my country? Centennial glass. If it's glass of any kind, one of the things that I seldom mention with Centennial glass, if you have some custom glasswork that's got to be cut, they can do it. They'll put the finish, put the edge on it, no matter what it is. Glass furniture, glass railings, glass patio enclosures, etc. And they really, really specialize in glass enclosures for baths and showers. I've mentioned this before. We have a beautiful glass shower that Centennial Glass made for us. It's just around the corner here. And by the way, if you wanted a new design of a glass shower or even a different colored glass, just tell them Centennial Glass. They'll show you the plan. They'll draw up the plans for you. They're great people. They're really, really professional. Prices very reasonable. Centennial Glass. It's on Industrial Avenue, not far from the train yards on Industrial, and in Renfrew. Our old friend Barry is back on now. Barry, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm getting a little peeved off, or a lot peeved off, that haven't heard anything in a while about the two Michaels.
Oh, yes. Well, they're still in jail.
Yeah, and it's another one of Trudeau's failures. That what's going on with Miss Huawei there, that Trudeau can't get off his ass and to get the states to do something, or else do something ourselves and send her back in exchange for them. Like, it's just ridiculous that here, he's you've mentioned it before too, about letting her family come over, and she's living luxury here, gets to go out and shop and spend money and do whatever she wants, and yet they're both in who knows what kind of jail. Who knows how well they're being fed, or how they're able to upkeep their personal hygiene and stuff while they're there as hostages. So that's what's really bothering me, Lowell. And just to let you know, in case you didn't see it today on CBC Noon Hour News at 12:07, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying he would let Katie Telford talk for herself or speak for herself.
Yeah, Katie Telford, who is his chief of staff, has volunteered. Good for her. Volunteered to appear before the Heritage Committee. They're trying to get to the root of this whole business of sexual harassment in the military. Who knew what, when? What happened with Vance? How come in the midst of all of these complaints, there were over 700 complaints, not all about Vance, but 700 complaints in a 5-year period about sexual harassment in the military. And through it all, what happens to Vance, even after everybody knew, or almost everybody knew, that there were charges against him, allegations, he gets a big raise. So they're trying to find out. So Katie Telford has volunteered. You know what? You know why? She didn't really have much choice, because, the opposition, including, by the way, the NDP and even the Bloc, have been pounding away on this. You know what, Barry? I can't believe when you go through all of the scandals, all of the muck, the quicksand that this government has found itself in recent years, it's astonishing. Barry, can you think of any other government in this country that has gotten itself into more grime and slime than this one?
No, and none other with a leader that's done blackface and got away with groping and whatever else, that he's done that, doesn't live up to normal people's standards and proper standards for a leader of a country's government. No, it just astonishes me, Lowell, that I don't know how I guess it's just he put the press, the media, the printed media to sleep with all the money he gave them. And now, what bugs me too is where have all these women's groups aren't screaming at Trudeau about, what's going on in the military and women's rights and all this. Where's the Me Too, all these other...
Good question. Got to move on, Barry. Thank you for your call, sir, as always. Then, of course, we've got to move on here. The issue of Line 5, and I have some sources in this. I've been pounding away at this, trying to raise some interest in this for almost 5 months now. And I must tell you that there has been very little concern expressed anywhere, including on this program. Until the last 2 or 3 days, suddenly everybody seems to wake up. Oh, my God. The 12th of May, like that's what, next Tuesday? We may find ourselves short about 50% of all the gas, et cetera, that we need in Ontario and Quebec. Suddenly everybody's waking up to this. My sources tell me that it's highly unlikely that for the time being, at least, the line will be shut down. There are negotiations, finally. They only started about 2 weeks ago, believe it or not. Negotiations underway right now to see if there is some way that we can come to some sort of an agreement with Michigan on this. So my sources tell me it's not likely, although possible, it's not likely that it will be shut down at this time. My point, for a little while, my point is, I think they're missing the point. My point is that it is unbelievable that a country like Canada would allow itself to fall under the power of a foreign government for its energy security. I mean, we're at the mercy of the United States, whatever government it decides, and in Michigan for that matter, for our energy security for the provinces of Ontario and Quebec. If they shut Line 5 down, I mean, I don't know how the hell Ontario would exist. Be short 50% of all the oil and gas that we need? How the hell would we? One of the things that drives me crazy about this is that we have left ourselves, and by the way, I include all governments, we have left ourselves in this position at the mercy, the blackmail even, of a foreign government. Look at this. All of the East Coast and about half of Quebec relies upon foreign oil for its subsistence. I mean, because we can't get Alberta oil through on Energy East, as you know. So we've got all of the Atlantic provinces and half of Quebec depending upon foreign oil. If they shut down Line 5, that means all of Quebec and most of Ontario will have to rely on foreign oil, American oil. That's the kind of position we have left ourselves in because we've got this line running through a foreign country. The United States is a great country, but it's a foreign country. We've got to find anyway, I'll get to it. I mean, Energy East was the solution. I've gone through that, but I just raised this issue again. I know that it doesn't seem to concern anybody, but I'm going to tell you, when you show up at the gas station next week and gasoline is about $2.50 a liter, if you can find it, maybe then you'll call me. Is it Dave? Dave's on the phone?
Dave, yes, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Dave, please.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Well, quickly on Line 5, I mean, they're finally waking up a little too late, I guess, in a sense, but at least they woke up finally. But it's absolutely ridiculous that we had Energy East, and I think the Conservatives are going to have to start promoting themselves and start saying, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build a pipeline so that we're not at the mercy of other countries, because this is what's going to happen if we don't have a pipeline. Because I don't think people understand. I talk to people in this state where I live, and they know nothing about it. And when I explain it to them, I said, you're at the mercy of foreign oil, and
Yep.
If we don't have oil or gas, well, good luck heating your house. You might as well buy yourself an electric furnace, because that's all you're going to have available to you. Or put in a wood stove.
On the matter, you may. Thank you very much. I couldn't agree with you more. I want to point out once again, it's a little confusing. There is an all-Canadian pipeline now. It's in existence right now. Runs from Alberta, north of Lake Superior, down, and in fact, it runs within a half mile of me right here, down through to Cornwall. Today, it carries natural gas. It supplies most of the gas for Ontario and a good for Quebec. What the plan for Energy East is that they take the gas out of that line and run oil through it, and then build another pipeline from Cornwall on through to the East Coast, okay? But what I'm saying is that we already have a pipeline, all Canadian. It's carrying gas now. but that we should be planning. At the very least, we should be planning. Okay, if they shut down Line 5, what we're going to do is we're going to take the gas out of the All-Canadian pipeline. We're going to run oil through it. But it would require another very short pipeline, obviously running from that pipeline down through to Sarnia, to the refineries. That's all. But there's no plan. I've checked them. There's no plan. In fact, I talked to a couple government departments, and they weren't even aware that that line exists, that line is already there. That was the line to be used in Energy East. Sorry, to go ahead, you sir.
No problem. I know all about that, and it's I've even written to my MP, and it's like, forget it.
Yep.
But very quickly, this morning I was flipping radio channels, and it's funny, you listen to Rob Snow Show and you listen to CFRA, and you got Leslie Roberts, Mr. Liberal, and Graham Richardson talking today. And they're railing on Ford, obviously, about his handling of the pandemic, et cetera. And then they said, where was he last summer? He wasn't complaining about shutting down borders and shutting down flights from India and shutting flights down from all over. In fact, he was bragging that the Americans are, would you like to live in the States? Look at us. We're doing so well, blah, blah, blah. Well, we didn't have the variants last year. That's the difference. We didn't have a Brazilian variant. We didn't have a UK variant. We didn't have an Indian variant. We were dealing with the variant from China.
Well, I don't know what Doug Ford said, but the fact of the matter is that the responsibility for our borders is the federal government. It's Trudeau's responsibility. If anybody was to decide whether people should be allowed to come in from wherever, it was Trudeau, not Ford. And Ford has been this is several months now that Ford has been demanding tighter restrictions at the border. At one point, Ford said to Trudeau, if you won't do it, we'll do it here. So,
that's right, but
go ahead.
I was just going to say, but their point is that, and they use the Trudeau talking point, and that is only 2% of the infections have come through the border. That's it. Travel is not the problem. So I mean, you're dealing with these people are so stupid. It isn't funny. And this is
how can they say that? I mean, where the hell do they think? This is mainstream media. Well, no, but I mean, where the hell do they think all the mutations have come from? Where do they think the COVID came from?
Exactly, but even if it is 2%, those people are even if it was 2%, even if you took that number as being the gospel truth, those people who come in, they're infecting other people. That's what they're not counting. They're not counting the number of, a person comes from India, and let's say he's infected. He goes home and there's 8, 9 people living in his household, and he infects all those people, and then they infect other people. Well, that's how it works.
That's right. Thank you. You're absolutely good for you. You're paying attention. Thank you.
Okay.
We're almost out of time here. We're talking vaccines, and I'll get to Shields in just a moment. Trudeau keeps talking about the big rollout. Every time I listen to this guy, he's talking about a big rollout. Well, I don't know where the hell the big rollout is. Here are the facts, okay? Forget all the propaganda. Here are the facts. While countries like the United States, Israel, Chile, the UK, and many others have now fully vaccinated about 40% of their populations, right now, that is that they've had 2 shots. Here in Canada, so far, we have half vaccinated about 40%. So we're halfway there to where other nations are with full vaccinations. Almost 5 months, and Canada has been able to give only 1 dose to about 40% of our population. 60% of our population after 5 months still do not have a single dose. And the percentage of those who are fully vaccinated in this country is shameful, dangerous. Only 3.2% of our population are fully vaccinated with 2 shots. That means, folks, that almost 97% of Canadians are not fully vaccinated. 5 months, or virtually 5 months in, 60% don't have a single shot. Almost 77%, get the figures right here, 97% don't have the 2 shots. The numbers are so astonishing that I can't even seem to wrap my mind around it. Only 3.2% of Canadians are now fully vaccinated. That's according to Health Canada. Well, almost 90% of Canadians are not fully vaccinated. Shields, great folks up there in Pakenham. Just want to point out once again, there's a big sale underway at Shields right now on appliances. You can save, I see from their website, up to $600. increasingly I'm getting word, and so is John apparently coming in.
Oh, yeah.
About what great service they're finding at Shields. Delivery within 2 or 3 days, even down to Cornwall, etc., up to Barry's Bay. Prices are very good. The selection, I mean, they have full selection. The huge warehouse, just absolutely full. So you don't have to wait. Prices are excellent, and nobody gives better service than Shields. Yes, John.
Ton of comments. We haven't had a chance to read many on the air thanks to a lot of phone calls today, which is awesome. Thank you for those.
Yes.
A text here that says, Lowell was on the Rob Snow show today. Our ambassador in Washington said Line 5 will not be shut down. Carrie says, can Canada...
No, actually, I listened to that interview. Let me just correct that, people.
Sure.
She didn't say it wouldn't. She said that she didn't think that at this time it wouldn't be because there are negotiations underway. But when asked directly, in fact, Evan Sullivan asked her about 3 times, would it be legal for them to shut it down? She refused to answer that. The good old liberal dodge and weave, once again, even from our ambassador, she refused to answer the question, could they shut it down? She kept saying, well, there are negotiations, we're negotiating, et cetera, et cetera. My information is that it likely will not be shut down at this time. But we cannot leave ourselves in this vulnerable position. How would you like it, folks, if Ontario, Quebec, and all the Atlantic provinces had to rely almost 100% on foreign oil? We have the world's 3rd largest supply of oil, and you're telling me that you don't have a problem if Ontario, Quebec, and the Atlantic provinces have to rely solely on foreign oil? That's the position we've left ourselves in. Yes, John, go ahead.
We had this question earlier, but Carrie's asked it as well today. Can Canada not stop the line going to Michigan if Michigan closes Line 5?
Well, first of all, Enbridge owns it. It's a private line. I don't know what Enbridge would do, but the Enbridge, obviously, if they're private business, if they can sell product into Michigan, they would continue to, at least I would, continue to sell it to Michigan. It's up to the federal government to deal with this, not Enbridge. Yes, go ahead.
David says Energy East is the only answer. Kathy says, I've tried sharing info about Line 5, but honestly, I don't think Ontarians really understand. Regarding the CRTC, Peter says the CRTC needs to have their teeth removed, revamped, and Conservatives, if ever elected, need to do this. Defund the CBC. Ann says, after Mother's Day, the cases will go up again. That'll be interesting to see. Actually, you're right. Deborah says, let me put on my tin hat and send Rebel News money the old-fashioned way, which I'm going to do. Joshua says, strict regulation is needed to enforce common sense. Let me see. We've got Eileen here says, I would like to know why people younger than my husband and I are getting their second shot before us. We are in our 80s. We registered online. We aren't computer literate.
I don't think younger people getting the second shot. They may be getting the first shot. We are so, despite what Trudeau says, we are so short of vaccines that we cannot provide second shots, full vaccination for frontline healthcare workers. Some of them, a number of them, are becoming sick after only one shot. At the Heart Institute, I was just there a couple of days ago, over 14 employees at the Heart Institute came down with COVID after receiving one shot. They have been begging for a second shot. We don't have enough vaccines. Don't blame Doug Ford because the idiot we have as a prime minister didn't order enough vaccines soon enough. It's his fault solely. Thank you all. We will be back.
Lowell Green, live on blasttheradio.com. Show info and links at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Subscribe to the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and more. Or ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. Join us live, weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on blasttheradio.com.